More leftist shill. So Greta Thunberg is making waves on the subject of climate change. She's an idiot. She's an idiot. Do you know that whole 97% consensus comes from a fucking cartoonist? I forget the guy's name. But some fucking cartoonist just made this bullshit up, and then everybody on the left ran with it and believed it. It's made up by a cartoonist. If you somehow missed her, she's a 16-year-old Swedish girl who first drew attention by creating the hashtag Fridays for Future last year before going on to start a global movement. This is another one of these casting call things. Somebody did a casting call for a girl who would be like the poster child for the global climate change movement, which is essentially nothing more than the globalist elites trying to scare the shit out of you. So you essentially will empower them to make the necessary changes to save the world. Of course, the changes that are required, that they say are required, to be done in such a short period of time would require you pretty much ceding most, if not all, of your freedom and rights to the government, as well as your property. Yeah, essentially 100% authoritarianism would be required for these changes to be made in such a short period of time. Essentially, you'd have to give all power to the government. You give up all your rights. But it's necessary to save the world. Yeah. Okay, so she started a global movement. Has she? Has she really? She first staged a strike outside the Swedish parliament in 2018. So where did this girl get the funding to do this? Where did she get the attention from the local media to do this? This is all a setup. She's being paid, she's being funded, she's being supported by the global elites who own all of the news outlets, by the way. And they instructed those news outlets to follow her, to film her, to watch her, to report on her. Yeah. She staged a strike outside Swedish parliament. By November, the movement had caught on, with many strikes being held across Europe. And just last month, many strikes funded by these global elites. One of them, no doubt, George Soros. And just last month, less than a year after she started campaigning, she was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. Yet another example that it means nothing. Maybe the other Nobel Prizes in science have some meaning, but the Peace Prize? Didn't Obama do it for doing nothing? And not only did he do nothing, Jesus Christ, the Middle East is a disaster because of this fucking guy. There's slave markets in Libya because of this motherfucker. He did anything but create peace. And when he got the award, he had done nothing. We gave it to him in the hopes that he would create peace. So you're giving a trophy for nothing. I see. The hope of something. Honored and very grateful for this nomination. Of course she'll win. Because the Nobel Peace Prize Committee is just a bunch of global shills themselves. So, Greta Thunberg. Unfortunately, when you get to such prominence, you invite the scrutiny of morons, says Greta. Says a moron! You little cunt. I love it. 16-year-old, I'm going to listen to you. She's just a puppet. She's just a puppet. Everything she says, all her talking points and her speeches, it's read off a fucking teleprompter, okay? And who wrote that shit? She has her own handler. Like fucking AOC has her handler, Saikat Chakrabarty. This dopey girl has her own handler too. She's just a shill. She's got Asperger's syndrome. She's a 16-year-old. They picked the perfect fucking shill. You know, because if anybody attacks her, if anybody criticizes her, the left and the media can just say, how dare you? She's a little girl with autism. How dare you attack a little girl with autism? We picked her specifically because we thought she would be bulletproof to your criticism. And if you criticized her, we could just call you a bunch of sexist evil men. Evil man attacking an Asperger girl. Brilliant. Yeah, they're morons. Okay, honey, I'd like to give you a fucking IQ test. See how smart you are. You're not very. So it goes on to say that the little girl Thunberg was annoyed a lot. Meanwhile, she's annoyed a lot of the right people, it appears. What does that mean? Who are the right people? And the last week has seen her attacked viciously online by people who are too scientifically illiterate to take on her actual points. Points created by a fucking cartoonist. A leftist fucking activist cartoonist. Give me a fucking break. What points? By the way, they don't name any. I love the vulgarity of it. Typical leftist move, right? Make this claim, but don't be specific. And that way, the people you're talking about, there's nothing specific they can challenge. I mean, what do you mean? What are you talking about? What specific points that she's claiming that we don't understand? Name them. Tell me so I can give a counter argument. Oh no, there's nothing. Nothing whatsoever. Yeah, scientifically illiterate. Right. Here's some tweets. Listen to this. Some dude named Ben Stanley. She has Asperger's syndrome and she's speaking in a second language. You pillocks. Remoner Lisa. This person thinks autistic meltdowns are amusing. Here's the difference. Autistic people have meltdowns sometimes. Fucking idiots are fucking idiots all the time. So everybody's jumping to defend this girl, right? All the white knight pinheads and all the fucking mega feminists. It appears that she's annoying the right people and they're attacking her because they're scientifically illiterate. I'm not scientifically illiterate. Thunberg traveled to the UK this week to give talks and interviews on the topic of climate change. Is this where we've gotten? There are scientists coming out, PhD scientists, saying this is all bunk. It's all bullshit. The whole 97% fucking 97% of climate scientists agree. No, they don't. That was made up by a cartoonist. It's a lie. So scientists are wrong. And if you talk to any legitimate scientist, they'll tell you, changes in temperature have to do with the fact that the sun's energy output doesn't remain static. Over long periods of time, the energy output of the sun wanes and ebbs. It grows greater and then ebbs and becomes less. That's why we have ice ages and warming periods. It's not about the CO2 in the air, you idiots. That can have a minor effect. But there have been times when the Earth has been cooler, but there's been more CO2. Without all these fucking cars and farting cows, we've had more CO2 in the fucking air when there was a fucking ice age, you idiots. And we know this because of ice core samples that go back hundreds of thousands of years. We know that it's not the CO2 that causes the heating and the cooling, but the sun's energy output. But apparently, this dopey little 16-year-old girl with her fucking talking points and Asperger's syndrome, knows more than scientists. Okay. What are we listening to a 16-year-old for anyway? Plays into this trope of the children will lead us out of the mouths of babes. Yeah, out of the mouths of babes comes fucking gibberish. I'm going to listen to this little fucking girl. Fuck off, you little cunt. Fuck you. You little bitch. Yeah. Oh, you people disagree with me are morons. Wow, that's real clever. That's real clever. We're scientifically illiterate. Can you give me anything, scientific, specifics, that I can give a counter argument for? Oh, no. The world's just going to end. Hyperbole. The world's going to end. No argument. Just fear-mongering. So she's been eloquent, knows the arguments, and that's probably why she's being so viciously attacked. She doesn't know any arguments, and she's never debated anyone. She just stands on stage and reads a speech. How eloquent is she? It's not her own words. She's reading off a teleprompter. Don't tell me somebody is elegant when they're reading shit other people wrote. Fuck you. I could sound elegant. Fucking A, I could sound a hell of a lot more eloquent if I sat here and read fucking Oscar Wilde. I sit here and read Oscar fucking Wilde out of a fucking book. You gonna call me eloquent? First off the mark was notable pie and controvert Brendan O'Neill. He chose to attack her on the grounds of how she, a 16-year-old girl with Asperger's, talking on national television in her second language, delivered her accurate information in too much of a monotone of his... What accurate information? Tell me what she said that's accurate. You're just making claims. No arguments, no proof. Well, I can claim that I got Bigfoot living in my basement. He's living in my basement. I make a claim. You can't disprove it. And I've eloquently spoken on that fact that he lives in my basement. And I'll go on in long, eloquent diatribes about what he eats and what I cook him and where he takes a dump. Is it true? I've just made a claim. I haven't made an argument. I haven't given proof. Oh, I love it. Yeah. I love how they just claim she's giving accurate information. But I'm not going to tell you what information because I don't want you to be able to disprove the claim I've made about it being accurate. Not wanting to be left out, former Foreign Secretary and current absolute cauliflower Boris Johnson piped in. He used his weekly opinion column in a national newspaper to tell teenagers like Thunberg, who are concerned that the world might burn and who don't usually get this kind of platform, that he's sick of hearing their opinions on Earth Day. I don't think people... Has anybody read the Green New Deal? It's basically just a vehicle for socialism. All these ideas about climate change, the end of the world, global warming, the left are taking these, they're essentially ginning up all this fear and hysteria so that you will give away ever more of your freedoms. I mean, change the world economy, the world energy economy in 10 years, 100% completely, and base it on renewable energies, which ain't so renewable, by the way. I mean, fucking electric alone requires the burning of coal. Oh, but somehow, we're going to transition to and create some kind of new revolutionary technology that's 10 times more efficient than the renewables we have now in just 10 years, even though physicists will tell you that's not possible. Oh, but we're going to do it, because necessity is the mother of invention. And this dopey 16-year-old, who's nothing more than a mouthpiece for fucking globalists, is telling us we must, or the world's going to end. And if I disagree with her, I'm attacking an Asperger girl. This is so dumb. This is so dumb. All this fucking global warming shit is just to get you to accept socialism. The government controlling the ways and means of production, because that's the only way that this could work. It's the only way that you could take power of and control over everybody's motherfucking property and force them at the point of a motherfucking gun, because that's what would be required to change the entire country. And the money to do this, 100 trillion fucking dollars. I mean, it's not possible anyway. But it would cost 100 trillion if it was possible. Yeah. Where's that going to come from? You have to rob everybody. You'll have to rob every motherfucking person. That's the GDP of the whole fucking planet. Just for America. Well, wait a second. What are you going to do with China? Okay, say we rob everyone in the United States, which is what you would have to do. Or you would have to just print money ad infinitum and drive up the national debt to such an extent that the dollar would be worthless, okay? Then crash the system, which is pretty much the whole goal anyway, so that socialists can take over. That's what they hope will be the case. That in the chaotic aftermath of the crash of the system, they'll take over and have control and be able to push a world without borders. Globalist utopia! Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's going to look more like Mad fucking Max, you idiots. But anyway, yeah, it's just to push socialism, right? Destroy the dollar, because that's what you would have to do, to print all this money and resources, and to convert every goddamn building in the country to renewable energy. You would essentially have to knock all these buildings down and rebuild them, and those buildings are owned by people. And they might not want their buildings to be knocked down, renovated, changed. Where's the money going to come from? We're just going to print it. Just print it. Yeah, we're going to put our great, I can't say how many greats, grandkids into fucking debt. But that's okay. Not viable, and it's to address a non-problem, a fictitious problem. Just because there's some global warming doesn't mean that the world's going to end. That's the conclusion that is being essentially spouted by this little girl, Shill, who is getting paid very well, as are her parents, to essentially be the mouthpiece for the left. Soon the hot takes were in full flow. Helen Dale tweeted that she'd like to arrange an interview for Thunberg with a particularly ferocious UK interviewer. This girl's just like a Gazi. She's a puppet. She's a puppet to Shill. She's a puppet and a shill for global warming, just like David Hogg was a puppet and a shill for gun control. Okay? First they want to get your guns, and then they want to impose socialism. And you would have to impose authoritarianism to make this work, to make the changes in the period of time that these wackadoos say is necessary to save the world. You'd have to impose full 100% Stalin-esque fucking authoritarianism. Well, it's necessary because, we'll be dead. Right. In 12 years, I'll still be here. You'll still be here. I'll be a little older. And any of you idiots that embrace this and whose country embrace this, you're going to be living in red Soviet Russia type circumstances. Good luck with that.